The red alarms were screaming all over the launch room. The noise was loud and hurt the ears. Bardock wiped blood from his forehead. His armor was cracked. He was breathing very hard. He looked at the round space pod sitting on the platform. Inside the glass window, a small baby was sleeping. The baby had spiky black hair. It was his son, Kakarot. Bardock knew the end was coming. He could feel it in the air. The ground under his boots was shaking a little bit. That monster, Frieza, was up in the sky. Frieza was planning to blow them all up. Bardock had tried to tell the other Saiyans. He shouted at them in the mess hall. He told them they were in danger. But they just laughed. They called him crazy. They said Frieza was their boss and would never hurt them. They were fools. Now there was no time left to argue. Bardock typed fast on the computer next to the pod. His fingers moved quickly over the buttons. He had to send his son away. He had to save at least one Saiyan. Usually, they sent babies to nice planets. They sent them to places with weak people so the baby could take over. Earth was a good choice. It was far away. The people there were not strong. But Bardock stopped. His hand hovered over the button for Earth. No, he thought, Frieza has scouts everywhere. Frieza has soldiers on many planets. If I send him to a normal world, they might find him. They will see his power level on their scouters. They will hunt him down. I need a place where Frieza does not go. I need a place that scares even the Emperor of the Universe. Bardock remembered an old legend. The older Saiyans used to talk about it in whispers around the fire. There was another dimension. It was not the living world. It was not the other world where dead people go. It was a dark place, a place of magic and demons. They called it the Demon Realm. It was a forbidden place. No ship ever went there. The coordinates were locked in the deepest part of the computer. It was a one-way trip. The gravity was heavy. The air was poison to normal people. Monsters lived there that could eat a Saiyan whole. But if Kakarot went there, Frieza would never look for him. Frieza did not like magic. Frieza liked things he could control. He could not control the Demon Realm. Bardock made his choice. He unlocked the secret files. He typed in the coordinates for the Demon Realm. The computer screen turned red. It gave a warning. Danger. Extreme danger. Survival chance 0. Bardock ignored the warning. He looked at Kakarot one last time. The baby opened his eyes. He looked at his father. He did not cry. He looked curious. You have to be strong, my son, Bardock whispered. He placed his hand on the cold glass. You are not going to a paradise. You are going to hell, but you are a Saiyan. We thrive in battle. If you survive this, you will be stronger than anyone. You will be the one to avenge us. Just then, the door to the launch room opened. A woman ran in. It was Jean. She was Kakarot's mother. She looked scared. She saw Bardock by the pod. Bardock, what are you doing? She asked. She ran to the pod and looked inside. Why is Kakarot in the pod? It is not his time to go yet. He is too small. Bardock looked at her. His eyes were sad but hard. We have to save him, Jean. Frieza is going to destroy everything. Jean shook her head. No, that cannot be true. Why would he do that? We work for him. Because he fears us, Bardock said. He fears the Super Saiyan legend. I can feel his death ball charging up in the sky right now. We're out of time. Jean looked at her baby. Tears filled her eyes. She put her hand on the glass next to Bardock's hand. She did not argue anymore. She trusted her husband. If he said it was the end, it was the end. Where are you sending him? Jean asked softly. Someplace hidden, Bardock said. He did not tell her it was the Demon Realm. He did not want to scare her more. He just wanted her to have hope. The pod engine started to hum. It began to lift off the ground. The anti-gravity discs glowed blue. Goodbye, Kakarot, Jean sobbed. Don't forget us. Survive. Bardock pressed the final launch button. The pod shot up into the launch tube. It went faster and faster. It flew out of the atmosphere of Planet Vegeta. High above the planet, Frieza was floating in his hover chair where he had his finger raised. A giant ball of orange energy was sitting on his fingertip. It was like a second sun. It was huge and hot. Frieza was laughing. The space pod zipped past Frieza's ship. It was too small and fast for him to notice. He was too busy enjoying his own power. The pod moved away from the planet. It engaged its hyperdrive. The stars turned into long lines of light. Inside the pod, the baby felt the speed. He was pushed back into his seat. The computer took over. It opened a rift in space. This was not normal space travel. To get to the demon realm, the ship had to punch a hole in reality. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from the dashboard. The colors outside the window changed. They were not black and white anymore. They were purple and green and swirling red. It looked like a bad dream. The baby started to cry. The pressure was hurting his ears. Back on Planet Vegeta, Frieza dropped his finger. The giant ball of energy fell. It hit the planet. The ground cracked. The core of the planet exploded. In a flash of blinding light, the Saiyan race was gone. Bardock and Jean were gone. But the pod was already gone too. It had slipped through the crack in the universe. It was falling into the dark. The journey took a long time. Or maybe it was short. Time worked differently in the tunnel between worlds. The baby slept. The pod kept him alive. It gave him medicine and food through tubes. It taught him things while he slept. It played a recorded voice. It was supposed to tell him to destroy the planet he landed on. But the message was getting garbled by the magnetic storms of the demon realm. The voice became twisted. Eventually, the pod slowed down. It came out of the colorful tunnel and entered a new sky. This sky was not blue like Earth or red like Vegeta. It was a dark, bruised purple. There was no sun. Instead, there were 3 moons. One was yellow, one was green, and one was blood red. The clouds were thick and black. Lightning flashed, but there was no thunder. Just a low humming sound that vibrated in your teeth. The pod was falling fast. Below, the ground was jagged rock. There were mountains that looked like sharp teeth. There were rivers of slime that glowed neon green. The pod fired its landing rockets, but the gravity here was immense. It was 10 times stronger than Earth, maybe 20. The rocket struggled. The pod came down too hard. It crashed into a valley of dark stone. The sound was huge. Rocks flew everywhere. The metal ball rolled and smashed into a cliff wall. Steam hissed from the engines. The glass window cracked a little, but it held. Silence returned to the valley. Then, the hatch of the pod hissed. It blew off with a pop. The baby inside gasped. The air rushed in. It was cold and smelled like sulfur and old magic. The baby coughed. The gravity pushed him down into the seat. He felt like a heavy blanket was on top of him. He could barely lift his arms. This was the demon realm. It was a place where only the strongest survived. Kakarot tried to move. He was a Saiyan. His bones were strong. His muscles were dense. Even as a baby, he was stronger than a human man. He pushed against the heavy air. He cried out. His cry echoed off the sharp rocks. Something heard him. In the shadows of the rocks, eyes opened. They were glowing yellow eyes. A creature stepped out. It looked like a wolf, but it had no fur. Its skin was scaly and black. It had 2 tails that ended in bone spikes. It was a demon beast. The beast sniffed the air. It smelled fresh meat. It smelled something new. It growled and walked toward the pod. It was hungry. Baby Kakarot saw the monster. He stopped crying. His Saiyan instincts woke up. He did not know what a monster was, but he knew danger. He bared his small teeth. His black eyes narrowed. The beast lunged. It jumped into the pod to eat the baby. Suddenly, a beam of purple light shot out from the side. It hit the beast in the head. The beast yelped and fell over, dead. A figure walked out from behind a tall rock. It was a humanoid demon. He was tall and had blue skin. He wore armor made of bones and dark metal. He had white hair that flowed down his back and 2 small horns on his forehead. He carried a long staff with a skull on top. The demon walked to the pod. He looked at the dead beast and kicked it away. Then he looked inside the pod. He saw the baby boy. He saw the tail wrapped around the baby's waist. A tail, the demon said. His voice was raspy like dry leaves. And this power level, it is small, but it feels angry. It feels violent. The demon reached in. He grabbed Kakarot by the back of his armor. He lifted him up. The baby kicked and tried to punch the demon. The demon laughed. "Feisty little thing," the demon said. "You are not a demon. You look like a mortal. But you survived the crash. You are breathing the air. Most mortals die in seconds here." The demon looked at the sky. "I am Dabura's scout. I should kill you. Or I should take you to the Demon King. But..." The demon looked into Kakarot's eyes. He saw a fire there. He saw the potential for destruction. The demon's name was Malik. Malik was an outcast. He hated the high-ranking demons who lived in the castle. He wanted power for himself. "If I raise you," Malik whispered, "if I feed you demon meat and teach you dark magic, you could be a weapon. A weapon to help me take what I want." Malik tucked the baby under his arm like a sack of potatoes. Kakarot bit Malik's arm. Malik didn't flinch. He just smirked. "Yes, bite, fight, hate. That is what will keep you alive here, boy." Malik turned and walked away into the dark, misty landscape. He took the Saiyan child into the depths of the demon realm. 5 years passed. In the demon realm, 5 years felt like 20. The days were erratic. Sometimes the suns didn't rise for weeks. Sometimes the storms lasted for months. In a canyon filled with giant, twisted mushrooms, a child was hunting. The child did not look like a normal 5-year-old. He was small, but his muscles were hard as rocks. He wore tattered clothes made from the skins of beasts. His hair was a wild palm tree of black spikes. A brown tail flicked behind him, restless. This was Kakarot. He did not know the name Goku. He did not know what Earth was. He did not know what a hamburger tasted like. He only knew the taste of raw meat and bitter roots. He was crouching on a large mushroom cap. He was perfectly still. The gravity of the demon realm was constantly pulling him down, but he had adapted. His body had grown dense to handle it. He felt light now, even though the gravity would crush a human tank. Below him, a group of ogres was walking. Ogres were big, dumb brutes. They carried clubs. They were guarding a chest of gold. Kakarot didn't care about the gold. He wanted the food they had in their packs. Kakarot's eyes were cold. He didn't have the softness of Goku. He had never hit his head on a rock. He had never been taught to be kind by Grandpa Gohan. He had been raised by Malik. Malik taught him only one rule: the strong take, the weak die. Kakarot took a deep breath. The air was thick with magic energy. In the demon realm, Ki was different. It was sharper, darker. Kakarot had learned to mix his Saiyan Ki with the background radiation of the demon world. It made his aura look different. It wasn't white or blue. It was a dark, muddy violet. He jumped. He moved faster than sound. He landed on the shoulders of the lead ogre. Before the ogre could shout, Kakarot punched him in the ear. The punch was heavy. The ogre's skull cracked and he fell down. The other 2 ogres roared. They swung their clubs. Kakarot did not dodge. He caught the first club with one hand. The ground cracked under his feet from the impact, but he didn't move. He grinned. It was a scary grin. It was the grin of a predator. "Too slow," Kakarot said. His voice was raspy. He pulled the club from the ogre's hand and swung it back. He hit the ogre in the stomach. The ogre flew back and smashed into a mushroom stalk. The last ogre tried to run. Kakarot dropped the club. He opened his palm. Dark purple energy gathered in his hand. It wasn't a Kamehameha. He didn't know that move. This was something else. A raw blast of demonic energy. "Die," Kakarot said. He fired the blast. It hit the running ogre. There was an explosion. When the smoke cleared, the ogre was gone. Kakarot walked over to the packs. He ripped them open. He found some dried meat bones. He started gnawing on them hungrily. Slow clapping echoed from the shadows. Malik stepped out. He looked the same as he did 5 years ago. Demons lived a long time. "Good," Malik said. "You are getting faster. But you are still sloppy. You let the last one scream. A scream alerts others." Kakarot glared at his master. I killed them all. It doesn't matter. It matters if a demon lord hears you, Malik said. He walked over and snatched the meat from Kakarot's hand. Kakarot growled. His tail bristled. Give it back. Take it, Malik said. If you can. Kakarot didn't hesitate. He launched himself at Malik. He threw a flurry of punches. Malik blocked them easily with one hand. Malik was still much stronger. He swatted Kakarot away. Kakarot tumbled in the dirt but sprang back up instantly. Again, Malik shouted. They fought for an hour. Kakarot was relentless. He took hits that would break bones, but he just got back up. This was the Saiyan biology. Zenkai boosts. Every time he got beaten up, he healed stronger. And in the demon realm, the healing was weird. The magic in the air seeped into his wounds. It made his skin tougher. Finally, Kakarot managed to land a kick on Malik's shin. Malik grunted. He grabbed Kakarot by the throat and lifted him up. Enough, Malik said. He dropped the boy. You are improving. Kakarot gasped for air. He rubbed his neck. One day I will kill you, Malik. Malik laughed. I hope so. That is the point, but not today. Today, we have a job. Malik pointed to the horizon. In the distance, there was a castle floating on a chunk of rock. It was surrounded by red clouds. We are going to the borderlands, Malik said. There is a tournament. Low-level demons fight for the amusement of the lords. I signed you up. Kakarot wiped blood from his lip. Who do I fight? Malik smiled cruelly. Everyone. They travelled for days across the wasteland. Kakarot ran alongside Malik. He didn't complain. He didn't ask for rest. The demon realm had stripped away all childish things. He was a soldier. They arrived at the arena. It was a giant pit dug into the ground. Thousands of demons watched from the edges. They were ugly, twisted creatures. Some had wings, some had extra arms. They screamed and cheered for blood. Malik pushed Kakarot into the pit. Fight, Malik ordered. Kakarot stood in the center of the muddy arena. He looked small. The crowd laughed. Look at the little monkey, one demon shouted. Here's a snack, another yelled. The gate on the other side opened. A giant beast walked out. It was a cyclops. It had one eye and held a massive hammer. It was 3 times the size of Kakarot. The cyclops roared. Spit flew everywhere. Kakarot did not look scared. He felt the excitement rising in his chest. His heart beat fast, not from fear, but from the thrill. This was what he was made for. His tail twitched. The announcer, a small imp with a megaphone, shouted, Begin! The Cyclops charged. The ground shook with every step. He raised the hammer to squash Kakarot flat. Kakarot stood still. He waited. He waited until the hammer was inches from his face. Then he vanished. He moved so fast he left an afterimage. He appeared behind the Cyclops' knee. He kicked hard. There was a loud snap. The Cyclops screamed and fell to one knee. Kakarot jumped onto the Cyclops' back. He grabbed the beast's ear. He pulled hard. The beast thrashed around trying to grab him. Kakarot was too quick. He was like a flea, a very dangerous flea. Kakarot charged energy in his hand. He pressed it against the back of the Cyclops' head. Bang! The Cyclops fell forward, face first into the mud. He did not get up. The crowd went silent. They stared at the small boy standing on top of the giant corpse. The boy looked up at them. His eyes were fierce. He let out a scream. It was a Saiyan war cry. It echoed through the arena. Suddenly the crowd erupted. They cheered. They loved violence. They loved strength. Malik watched from the stands. He crossed his arms. He was pleased. The boy was becoming a monster, a true Saiyan of the demon realm. But Kakarot was not done. He felt a strange sensation. The fight had triggered something. His blood was boiling. The moon above was full and red. Kakarot looked up at the red moon. Usually, a Saiyan needs a full moon to transform into a great ape. On Earth, this happens rarely, but in the demon realm, the moons were full of dark magic. The Bloods waves were different here. They were corrupted. Kakarot's pupils dilated. His heart pounded so hard it hurt. The transformation began, but it wasn't the normal Uzaru transformation. His body began to grow. Fur sprouted from his skin. But the fur was not brown, it was jet black. His eyes glowed red. He grew bigger and bigger. His clothes ripped apart. The crowd stopped cheering. They started to look nervous. "What is that?" someone whispered. Kakarot kept growing. He became a giant ape, 50 feet tall. But he looked demonic. He had horns growing from his head, just like the demons. His teeth were jagged. His roar sounded like a mix of a gorilla and a dragon. This was the demon ape. Malik's eyes widened. He had not expected this. The demon ape roared and smashed his fist into the arena wall. Stone exploded. Demons screamed and ran. The ape grabbed a spectator and threw him across the arena. Kakarot had lost all control. The demon magic, mixed with his Saiyan biology, created a berserker. He opened his mouth and a beam of dark energy shot out. It hit the floating stands. An explosion rocked the whole area. Malik jumped down into the arena. "Kakarot, stop!" The demon ape looked down at Malik. He did not recognize his master. He raised a giant foot to stomp on him. Malik cursed. He charged his staff with magic. He flew up and hit the ape in the nose. It did nothing. The ape swatted Malik out of the air like a fly. Malik crashed into the mud, groaning. The ape rampaged. He destroyed the arena. He destroyed the gates. He was a force of nature. High above, in a floating castle far away, someone was watching. Sitting on a throne of skulls was a man with red skin and a black goatee. He wore elegant clothes. This was the Demon King, Dabura. Dabura watched the crystal ball in front of him. He saw the giant black ape destroying the borderlands. "Interesting," Dabura said. His voice was smooth and deep. "A mortal beast with that much power? And it uses ki, not just magic." A small wizard named Babidi floated next to him. "What is it, Master Dabura? Should we destroy it?" Babidi squeaked. "No," Dabura said. He smiled. "Let it grow. The universe is getting boring. The Kais think they are safe. Frieza thinks he is the strongest. But they do not know about this thing." Dabura leaned forward. "Let the boy survive. If he conquers the wastes, bring him to me. I want to see what a demon Saiyan can really do." Back in the arena, the rampage continued until the red moon set behind the mountains. As the light faded, the demon ape began to shrink. The fur receded. The horns disappeared. Kakarot lay naked in the mud. He was unconscious. Smoke rose from his body. The arena was a ruin. Fires burned everywhere. Malik crawled out of the rubble. He was bleeding and bruised. He limped over to the boy. He looked down at Kakarot. He felt fear for the first time. He realized he might have created something he could not control. But he also felt greed. With this power, he could challenge the demon lords. Malik picked up the boy. "Sleep well, little monster," Malik whispered. "Tomorrow the real training begins." Kakarot slept. He dreamed of a voice he didn't remember. A soft voice. "Survive, Kakarot." And he dreamed of a man with a scar on his cheek. But those dreams were fading. They were being replaced by fire and blood. The earth had lost its savior. The demon realm had gained a destroyer. Kakarot was alive, and the universe would never be the same. In the darkness of space, far away, a scouter beeped, but it was too far to read the signal from the demon realm. The signal was blocked. The secret was safe. For now, Goku was gone. There was only the Demon Saiyan. Episode 1. End. Next time on Saiyan of the Demon Realm, Kakarot grows into a teenager in the harsh wastelands. He learns to control his demon ki. But a powerful demon general comes looking for the source of the destruction at the arena. Kakarot faces his first true test of death. Will he bow or will he fight?